Maybe you're watching and you don't get art. The meaning, the symbolism, and the purpose. Sure, you might love a beautiful painting. But when it comes to avant-garde films, poetry readings, and interpretive dance, let's just say you're not a connoisseur.
I gotta let it sink in.
I came to the streets to find out what is art.
It looks like a hinge. A hinge?
Looks like
Yeah, it looks like a tower speaker.
I think it represents a barrier.
It's obviously a Picasso.
But I don't have my glasses on, so that's what it looks like without my glasses on.
a door gem or something.
It looks a little bit like kind of genre of commercial art.
I don't know if I'd put it up in my apartment or anything, but...
A 5-hole electric outlet.
It looks like garbage can near the corner of the building.
Looks like it would fit in an office somewhere, or perhaps in a hotel room.
Maybe my $33 department store painting doesn't quite inspire. But does that mean it isn't art? And what is art anyway?
Boy, you're gonna have to give me a moment on this.
The definition of art, hard to label.
Philosophers for many, many generations continue to debate about the question of what art is.
I can't give you the Oxford or Webster's dictionary definition. I'd like to know what they say, actually.
While a definition might be hard to pin down, most of us can name at least a few greats. There's Michelangelo's creation of Adam, Handel's Messiah, or more recently, C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. Art has been made about almost everything, but for centuries, faith and the divine have taken center stage. But walk through most Protestant churches today, and you'll find yourself asking, where did all the art go?
It's a well-known fact that we are shaped by the spaces that we live and work in. When our churches are filled with nothing but blank walls, our worldview is shaped by that.
How did we get here? Maybe we need to go back to the beginning, as in the beginning, when God Himself created the greatest masterpiece, the heavens, the earth, and us, made to be image bearers of our Creator.
And I think the scriptures start out with Adam making the first poem in the world when he sees Eve, and he says, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Calvin Seerveld is Professor Emeritus in Aesthetics at the Institute for Christian Studies. He spent a lifetime studying, writing, and creating. The pages of the Bible, he says, are filled with the arts.
There are the Psalms of David, which are beautiful songs, even though we don't know what the exact tune was. There's the fantastic poetry of Isaiah 40, for example. There are the parables of Jesus, in which Christ tells stories. And Exodus 31 talks about Bezalel and Aholiab were filled with the Holy Spirit to be able to build what the Lord wanted done.
Beyond the Bible, the timeline of art in the church looks like this. The earliest expressions were found in the catacombs, modest drawings of a faith forced underground.
If you've got the Colosseum on your mind, then it's not the time to learn to play the flute.
After Constantine made Christian worship legal, grander work was possible. Ornate basilicas appeared and art flourished. But it didn't take long before the arts went underground again. Fearing the spread of idolatry, church leaders banished them for close to a century. And the debate around art didn't stop. Many argued they were useful in educating the illiterate masses.
So that the church then had problems. How do we indeed focus on the fact that we want to help people understand the doctrines of the church and to meet God, if you will, with an icon, rather than be distracted and say, oh, it's so beautiful, and forget about what they were supposed to be doing with it.
During the Renaissance, which means rebirth, the church commissioned and celebrated some of the greatest work of our time.
It was also to to impress people. In other words, the papacy wanted to show that it indeed was the authority on earth. So we got to have the best, certainly the best art. The church, which was the carrier of culture and was the dominant force of culture, wanted to say we should have the best art.
But then came the Reformation, when the focus shifted to the written word and getting it to the people. With the exception of music, art was seen as decadent, part of the wealth and power that corrupted the church. And once again, it faded into the background.
Beyond that still is that the Reformation indeed was finicky about idols. Zwingli, a little bit later, he was an iconoclast. He smashed statues. I mean, Zwingli in Zurich would close the church at a certain point because he had the city council behind him, whitewash the walls and take all the sculptures out.
For the next few centuries, art was mostly crafted and created outside church walls. Fast forward to today, many artists are still struggling to find their identity in the faith community.
For so long, for so many artists, they struggle with, well, here's my art life, but the church doesn't accept that.
It was a very lonely struggle, and I spent about 15 years figuring out if I was even allowed to make art.
They can be the heartbeat of a community, and often they are pushed to the outside and not taken seriously.
Our culture in the church is largely word-based and not image-based because we don't have it in our sanctuaries anymore.
And really didn't want to have anything to do with art in the church at the time, because I was just like, they don't know how to do it, they don't appreciate it.
There's not many places, frankly, that you can go and talk freely about your art and about your faith or about your interest in artistry, to find others of like mind.
But is there hope for another Renaissance, a place where art and faith will be reunited? Tomorrow, we ask artists of faith where they fit into the picture.
I just happen to love jazz, and the music that I make doesn't necessarily fall neatly within that category of what they call Christian commercial music.
And we tackle good art versus bad art.
We haven't encouraged our artists to be excellent. We've told them to go to Bible school instead of art school.